In this video, we're showing you how we're brewing espresso and steaming milk on the new Maxim de Paris espresso machine. My name is Patrick Rolf and this is Coffee with April. We are on to video number 2 of this espresso machine. So last week we did a video where we unboxed this Seine X machine from Maxim de Paris. And that was kind of interesting. Like, we went through all of the different details of the machine, basically from scratch. So if you're looking for a video where you get more detailed content on each of the individual components, how it looks, how it kind of fits together, burrs and all of this, then look at that video first and then come back here to the second video. So in this video, what we want to do is just basically actually share our favorite way of using this machine, because as always, there's a lot of content out there already on this machine. I believe it's a Kickstarter machine that is kind of about to be released. And so if you want to see that, all the kind of intricate parts of the machine, you can do that. I'm here to tell you how I would use it pretty much, right? Now, there are a few things for those of you that saw the video that you already know, and for those of you that didn't, which you should, you don't know, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of a quick recap. So there are a few things that we are considering here when we're deciding how to brew with the machine. First of all, we're looking at a very small conical burst set. It's going to impact taste. However, when we've been brewing, we're actually being quite happy with it. So what we're getting out of this is a pretty low strength to some degree espresso, but with quite high flavor clarity, which is usually the challenge when it comes to conical bursts, especially when they're smaller sized. So I've been quite positively surprised over the quality of flavor that comes out of this machine. Now, moving on, this machine has a few kind of baskets coming with it. They all have this kind of traditional shape to them. This is the largest size. They have 2 smaller ones, and they're kind of stuck in this single and double dosing, which we don't really do. So I popped in a 20-gram VST ridgelet basket. That's what I've been using when brewing espresso on this machine. So I actually haven't really used these at all because I know that the alternative is so much better. So I would say that if you do get this machine, then pop in a slightly better or improved basket that gives you a little bit more range in terms of extraction. And I still think the 20-gram VST ridgeless is to go to. That's what we're using here at April in general. Now, when you change that basket, you're going to notice that the tamper that kind of comes with the kit is not necessarily optimal because it seems designed or calibrated for something that looks more like this, right? So I'm bringing in my competition tamper instead from Force Tamp, which works perfectly with the 20-gram VST. So I'll be using that for the video. Now, as you already seen, we released a distribution video not too long ago here. We're running very espresso themed content at the moment. And then I'm showing off a few different tools. I think for the sake of this video, I'm going to kind of stick with the tools that are provided. So a standard kind of handheld needle tool that we have here, alongside of a kind of a classical distribution tool, which I normally wouldn't really use, but I think if you're using a handheld version of a distribution tool, you kind of need to. Otherwise, it will surely be a mess before you're tamping. So with this machine, a few cool things which you kind of already discovered. Pretty large water tank, 1.5 liters, I believe. Built-in scale, built-in grinder. This kind of grinder, again, you can adjust both on different RPM settings, up to 8 different ones. You can very easily go in and change the amount of grams coming out of the machine as well, and it's quite accurate, which is pretty good. Then you go in and obviously tweak that kind of grind size on the wheel back here. So it's quite easy to use, very clear numbers on the display. And then you have this other display where you go through different kind of modes that you can work with. And you have standard mode, constant mode, variable mode, super steam, which I haven't tried yet, but I'm sure it's pretty interesting. I kind of go or gravitate towards constant mode because I can go in and choose the amount of volume that comes out, and I can run that on a fixed bar pressure. Those of you that followed what I do espresso-wise know that I'm not really a fan of pre-infusion or these kind of pressure profiles. I never really see that they create an espresso continuously that is so much better or so much more aligned with what I'm looking for. At April, quite often, we're actually running lower pressure when we brew espresso. But I've noticed it on this machine, if I take the pressure down to like 6, 7, it just becomes too low. It's almost like 9 bar is actually closer to 7 and 8 bars. So I'm gonna stick on just like a 9 bar fixed pressure because I think that it's a lot easier to use pretty much. So yeah, I think we're just gonna brew an espresso, show you the kind of recipe and how I'm actually approaching it. Then we're gonna run a little bit of milk steaming as well, just because it's kind of fun. And it does show the temperature when you're steaming, which I think is really interesting. It's interesting both for a professional barista, but also in general, just for like a home brewer, right? Because let's say you compete, you know that this has a very big impact, right? But yeah, first of all, let's brew that espresso. We have grind setting up at 26, and we have the total grams at 19. Now you have this little lever that you kind of pull back, which is going to allow you normally to grind, but this went into some kind of sleep mode. Cool. So then we realized that if you don't use this and it's on, it kind of turns itself off, which is probably a good thing. So you have a little bit of a lever, you push that back. And then in exactly 10.4 seconds, I got 19.1 grams at a grind setting of 26. So like fairly fast, I think, for being like a home espresso grinder. And again, grind quality seems to actually be coming out pretty nicely. So we dose 19 grams in a 20 gram basket here. And I can see with this burr set that we have a few clumps. So I think using the needle tool actually makes sense. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just making sure that the coffee goes down in the basket. And from there, I'm going to take the little needle tool, which to be fair, I'm not really used to using because it's not really my thing, but let's do it, why not? So I'm just looking at the larger clumps and I'm trying to just unclump them. And the theory here is that we avoid having any kind of distinct air pockets in the coffee. So when I've done that, I'm taking the other distribution tool, popping that in, just making a quick 3 turn, get an even flat surface, force tamper, 1 tamp, consistent every time. Clean the top to make sure there's nothing that we don't want there. Then from here, I basically go into constant mode. And here I already have a 9 bar kind of pressure profile, which is just 9 bar. And I go in on my extraction target. No pre-infusion. I put in 50 grams, so I'm looking at 19 grams in to 50 grams out. And from here, I've actually put the amount of seconds I'm looking for as well. So I'm looking for 25 seconds. I just go in and go OK. And from here, I'm putting in the portafilter, which slides in super easy, which is quite nice. One of the cups underneath. And then we go start. And then the machine basically just starts working from here. And classic kind of naked portafilter style, I can see the extraction coming out, which is also really interesting. Yeah, this classic, a little bit of spray, a little bit of kind of dirtiness that comes with that naked portafilter. Not to worry too much. And then basically it adjusts the flow, then more or less try to actually give you what you want. So in 23 seconds here, we got 50.4 grams, which is like quite accurate. So we're taking the cup out. Always a little bit of spill when you work with these naked portafilters, which is also why we don't use them at April. Here we go. And that's pretty much it for the espresso part, right? And I think what we actually get coming out of it is quite tasty. I'm brewing now just for the sake of also like making a point. I think when it comes to any kind of machine, the quality of the coffee you put into the machine makes a big difference. So I decided to put some wash processed geisha from Finca Debra, this season's Terroir, which we're going to launch at April later in the season. I'm using it now as one of my kind of backup coffees for a competition. So it's kind of a perfect timing to see how this espresso machine actually performs with competition caliber coffee, more or less, right? And the thing is, what is coming out is really clean shots. Like, I've been enjoying it quite a lot. You have all of the kind of florality and the citrusy notes that we're really looking for in this coffee. Now, granted, when it comes to homebrewing setups as well, one of the biggest challenges is always going to be the water you're using when you're brewing. Here, we're obviously using reverse osmosis, BWT filter, running really clear water, and then we're adding the April minerals to that water, more or less. So a higher quality water is going to give you a higher quality espresso. That's just basically how it is. But keeping that kind of in mind, interesting, and we're kind of really happy with the espresso as a concept. I figure what we're going to do now, also just for the fun of it, is that we're going to look a little bit closer at the milk steaming. Because the milk steaming here, I understand when it comes to home espresso machines, is kind of what is setting machines apart, and it's also what is kind of regulating that price point. I'm not kind of a milk coffee guy, so you are not going to see me run a lot of milk in my coffees in general, right? But I think for the sake of this video, we do want to see how it actually comes out. So again, we're going to run the espresso pretty much the same. I'm not one of those that think that you should change the espresso recipe based on the milk. I'm much rather change the volume of milk that I'm pouring in an espresso rather than the other way around. But again, we're removing any clumps there. We're using the distribution tool. Now, I should say for the sake of this video that they have this really nice kind of funnel as well that goes on the portafilter. I just actually don't feel that I need it. It hasn't really been that messy. And I think a big part of that is because I'm changing to that 20 gram VST basket, right? So it's just a little bit deeper. I can fit more coffee in. I'm assuming if you run a 19 gram dose, which I'm doing now, in something like this, you do gonna need this to avoid any kind of spilling or any kind of dirty workflow. So what we're gonna do, and you can actually, if you want to, you could definitely steam and brew at the same time, which is also something I really kind of appreciate. So for the sake of this, we're just gonna brew the espresso separately and then do the milk separately as well. Milk, kind of standard cow milk from here in Denmark. I usually prefer that when it comes to both competitions, but also coffee in general. Again, very consistent shots here as well. The brew time here was a little bit faster. We're about 3 seconds faster than the previous one without actually adjusting anything. So you do have to keep in mind that there is a little bit of fluctuation, right? But I don't find that it's really a problematic fluctuation. So steam wand, we're going to start by just perching it, which we're not doing like that, we're doing like this. Here we go. Again, new machine. Keeping everything clean and tidy. Milk jug, fill up just to the spout here pretty much. That kind of pretty much basic. Pushing it all the way out, centering it, and then going up. And from here it's kind of starting to build air into the milk, which it's definitely quite a slow process. We've seen it when we've been trying to steam as well, that it really takes a little bit of time. My target here is 45 degrees Celsius. Took 23 seconds to steam. On, let's say, a professional machine, obviously that would go way quicker, but it's also not a professional machine, right? So we do that, we flush it quickly, and then we're kind of good. And the milk quality we get in general is fairly okay, I think. Given the kind of quality of milk we can expect from a machine that doesn't quite have the pressure that we're looking for. So we're going to try to do a little bit of a pour here. Obviously, espresso milk becomes very important when it's, we're talking home use in general. And I do respect that there's a lot of people that are into the idea of it. And I think in general, we're actually getting quite good milk quality here, right? But there are other home espresso machines that definitely runs a little bit of a better result when it comes to milk steaming than this machine. I would say that in general, the espresso quality here comes out a lot higher than the milk quality, which I think is kind of important. But I do really appreciate the fact that you can go in and you can look at different temperatures and you can be very consistent in those kind of settings. That's really nice. So in general, we're getting really good quality here. But I would probably like to get a little bit of a better milk steamer, right? So like in general, just to do a bit of an overall, it's a fun little machine. Like you can play around with it quite a lot. I'm quite positively surprised over the quality of flavors that also comes out of the machine. When it comes to the espresso brewing, I like the fact that I can play with the variables, the RPM, the grind size, the volumes, and it all comes out very consistently. So for someone that isn't, you know, let's say super into coffee, but is starting there and they don't really want to do everything themselves, this is kind of a great version, right? So think of like Sage and like an upgrade on that, right? So if you want this kind of semi-automatic sensation at home, why not? You know, it brews a good coffee. Milk can definitely be a little bit better. But in general, it's quite a fun, interesting machine to work with, I think. And that's about it. Like I'm sure we're going to do some more videos in the future with this machine, but that's kind of what we have at the moment. We're going to continue to try it. I would love to hear your feedback and insight as well. I know that there's definitely people around the world that has this machine, that has tried it as well. So we would love to hear your perspective on it also. We're going to continue to do these kind of unboxing and show a little bit more detail when it comes to certain pieces of equipment because we think they're quite interesting. Again, we kind of do it the April way, so that means that we kind of showcase the machine for what it is and then go in more in depth in how will we use that machine. There's other channels that much better can kind of show you all the details behind it, and we do recommend to look out for any of those. And with that, we just want to, as always, thank you guys for watching. Tune in on Patreon to make sure that you hear the kind of latest news on what we're up to. Maybe get one of these. Make sure you comment, subscribe. I think Home Espresso is really interesting, and I'm sure a lot of people do as well. Maybe you have some machines you recommend that we should look into as well. So yeah, a lot of interesting things coming up. And as always, just thank you for subscribing and being a part of this journey. So thank you for watching and have a good day. We want to give a special thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. It's because of you that we are able to continue to make these videos. And we want you all to feel free to always come with suggestions and ideas on the content that you want to see because we are doing this for you and because of you. Thank you from all of us here at April.